You can do that.
All right,
And it says that
it's Tara and
Yeah.
we're all on. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm John Racine, Chair on board. Today, May 9, 2024. Welcome to the planning board meeting. Tara, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Margaret, you okay?
Yes.
Okay, Jim and Janet, can you hear us?
Yes.
Let's do a quick roll call. Rick, let's start with you.
Rick Smith, alternate.
Mike Capel, member.
Bill Spence, member.
John Racine, member.
Morgan Dean, member. Catherine Brennan, member.
Rich Rita, select board ex officio.
Okay. So we do have a forum. Margaret,
Margaret Turner, alternate.
okay. Looks like that's all it's on.
Yep.
Okay. Let's take a look at the minutes first. So we can approve them from April 11.
I think you can seat one more person, Mr. Chair.
Have we got one more?
Well, we have
Wait a minute.
6 full members here.
There's 6 members.
So
We need 7.
That's
Well,
correct.
you could
You don't
seat-
need it.
You
You
could
can
seat
have
7.
Well, let's seat Rick. For Nancy 9, okay? I'll seat you, Rick. You okay with that?
Yep.
Good.
I just have one request for the minutes, on line 81. Can we just, replace the word plans with, like discussion or like just so it would read, there was also a discussion, or another word, there was also a discussion about managing dog waste in town with plans, actually you could just even eliminate, to implement signage. We discussed it. We didn't make definitive plans yet, so just another word for that. So a discussion to implement signage and additional waste
So
station.
you want to change the word plan
Yeah,
to discuss?
yeah, or, you know, the discussion about.
It's a discussion how to.
Yeah, so, yeah,
How to, okay.
just, I didn't want to
Discussion
give
how
the
to.
impression that we made the plan. We just talked about it. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I got that.
That was select board.
Mr. Secretary, you got anything there?
No,
Really?
no, this has been, well.
This is working out good then, yeah.
Yes, our means of reviewing in other words, to save time. We review the minutes before they're printed and distributed.
Yep.
So I move that we accept the minutes as presented or as
Amended.
amended by Catherine.
Anyone else with any corrections for the minutes? You're okay with that?
I'll second it.
Margaret, you good?
Yes.
Kathy wants to second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving right along. Okay, new business permission for Craig Lawson. So we're gonna have to make a little change here with the board because there's a couple of us that are abutters to Mr. Lawson's land. I'm one of them. Mike Capel is the other one. I think the rest, everyone's okay.
Yeah, I don't believe I am because it's
I
a
don't think
different
you are
parcel.
in
There's a
that,
property
right.
in between us.
Right. So I'm gonna recuse myself. I'm gonna give the helm to Bill Spence, who was the secretary.
And
Sir,
I'm gonna recuse myself too.
yes,
So
so we're gonna be,
Slide back.
you've got the,
you gotta sit over there.
yep, we're gonna move our parties and.
You can move your chair over there.
I'm gonna move my chair. Comfy chair. Why don't you just? Yeah, I'll put it into the marble.
Do you have a quorum now?
Yes, we should have a quorum, but you can't appoint another person.
So in order to vote, we need
Four.
at least four.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
got it.
You,
can see.
you would seat, Margaret, are you the alternate for Rich?
Yeah.
The select board has indicated, yes, that whenever I'm not present, that Margaret would replace me.
Okay,
on-
so there's no way to seat Margaret and have another member.
I see.
well, I don't have a problem with that. It's that,
Yeah,
She was not appointed by the board to be the select board alternate. She is an alternate to the planning board.
Oh, then she should be seated.
I agree.
okay,
So Margaret, I will seat you for this
Right.
section of the meeting.
Got it.
Congratulations.
All right, the purpose of this discussion right now is to determine whether the application is complete and to consider waiver requests that have been made. And then the board can vote on the waiver requests. And if the application is determined to be complete, the board will then set a date for a place and a time for the public hearing, which is the next phase in this procedure. Typically, or that is what the rules and procedures requires, is 10 days notice of public hearing is required. So that means then that the possible dates for the public hearing could be somewhere between May say 23 or maybe to May 30th. So the public hearing is the time when those in favor and those against the application have opportunity to speak their views about this specific application. And the board will be present during the hearing. Following the public hearing, the board could deliberate then on whether to approve the application or do so at the next meeting, the next board meeting, which is June 13, or at some time that's specified by the board that is a special meeting. So the one thing I should mention, and that is that Waterville Valley Rules and Procedures provide what is referred to as a privilege from the floor, but this is explicitly for items which are not on the planning board current agenda. That is, the public is always invited to attend and observe any planning board meeting. However, the floor is not available to the public during planning board meetings for the current agenda items. In other words, we won't be asking the public to make comment today, but there'll be plenty of opportunity to do so of those who are in favor and those who are opposed to this proposal at the public hearing. Hope everybody understands that. And well, the next item that we need to talk about are the waivers. And that is, the board may grant waivers when it is clear that the applicant will satisfy the site plan review regulations within an acceptable time limit. So one of the waivers that has been requested is that has to do with the drawings that were submitted. And in particular, what was of interest is the respect of the setbacks from Boulder Path. So I think, I don't know what's here. And I presume you're an engineer from
I represent Horizons Engineering.
yes. So I don't know what's here. And the difficulty is that when you present something like this at the time of the meeting, we can't accept it now. We've got to review it and and give Tara, our consultant, a chance to look at the drawings before we accept them as part of the plan.
I did look at it. If it's any help, I did look at it to see if it addressed my comments or not. I got it at 7:15, so
Okay, you have a comment to make, Tara?
I'm happy to go through my written comments. I think it would be helpful to go through that, that's my review of the submission, and I can make any addendums relative to what came in.
Well, Craig had his hand up first, but. All right, Craig, you have a comment.
I would like to do my presentation for 15 minutes and then address, in my presentation, I'm just going to address a few things and address some review that Tara gave us and review what we submitted today. I would like that to do that for us. And then, and then we kind of go into what the reason for the waiver app.
Well, does this have to do specifically with the waiver requests?
Everything's tied together eventually.
My concern is that, okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to hear from what Craig wanted. I want to know what John has to say.
I only want to say, could you introduce who Tara is to the
Tara is our consultant. That's, I think, sufficient. Tara consults for the board on matters pertaining to proposals such as this one, and is very helpful with regard to our assessment of any warrants that we want to present to town meeting. Rich.
I would just like to remind the chair and the board that plans also need to be reviewed by the public. This is why we have a certain time period in front of our meeting. So no one here, not least the board or our consultant, but there is no formal presentation of these plans for the public to review either. We have to put that on the record, I think.
Yeah, my concern is that we didn't intend for this meeting to be a presentation format. That's what's going to happen at the public hearing. Because if Craig presents his position.
Pickleball court. Right right on the other side of the fairway, right where that building is.
Can the staff mute Ryan's iPhone?
Really loud.
Nothing that I saw, if it's any help, nothing I saw this morning changes my comment.
Okay.
So this is different than what was emailed to us.
No.
This is,
Well, it depends what you
No,
call
I'm
different.
asking
We were
Bill.
requested to do a couple of things, so there.
I'm sorry, Craig, just one second. So this is
Yeah.
a new. This is not what was emailed to us.
I don't know.
This
Is
has
it-
changes from what was emailed to us.
I presume that that's true.
It has two minor changes. There's an annotation showing the distance between the traveled way boulder path and the paved portion of the pickleball court, which I don't feel is relevant. And it shows two lights at the entrance to the parking. Those are the two changes from what you saw. So it didn't really change my comments, and it wasn't a substantial change. If it had been a substantial change, I'd be recommending that you continue this to another meeting when you and the public and I had a chance to review a new plan, because we don't talk about the plan that shows up that morning. We talk about the plan that was in 21 days ago.
Thank you.
Yes. And that what we're trying to accomplish at the moment is to determine whether the application is complete. So that whatever Craig has to say, I'd like you to maintain your comments that pertain to the completeness of the application, that is the waivers. As we understand what it is that you've requested. I think everybody follows that. So can you make your comments pertain to the waivers that you have requested?
I can do whatever. you
We're trying to
want.
determine whether this is complete. If it's complete, then we can accept it as a plan and then move on to the next step, which is to the public hearing.
Or you can make a presentation.
We already wasted it, but I could, you just give me 15 minutes. I mean, let's just do this in entirety and then at the end, I'm obviously asking for a waiver.
Go ahead.
All right, and there might be waivers that we're not even thinking about, but we are looking at the letter of the tower. And to answer everybody's question is, we submitted the plans originally. Our review, we submitted a second set of plans that you have here today from the letter that we got from Tara on this May 2nd. So we're responding, I think, within timely fashion to what the consultant is asking for, concerns and whatnot. So we are constantly, if we're getting asked to make changes, we're making changes. Whether or not everybody sees them or whatever, I don't have any control over that, I guess.
No, we just have to follow procedure.
Well,
It
the
is.
procedure is we submit plans and she made comments. We corrected those comments and try to update the plans.
Right.
Wasn't,
We're trying to determine whether the submission is complete.
we haven't added anything that we wanted to do per se. We just wanted to address some of the safety issues that you were asked.
Right.
All right, we are here today to repurpose the maintenance area of the Waterloo Valley Golf Club. The reasons are to diffuse the congestion at the clubhouse during the winter tubing season and the summer golfing season. By moving the tubing check-in to the garage area will help with this congestion. By providing 2 pickleball courts to members with more members moving to the garage area from the clubhouse area. I do not see an increase in membership. This move is the better use of the property in general, as far as our activities go. The garage remodel, we're not enlarging the garage. The building is staying exactly where it was. And accommodate 2 bathrooms, a small kitchen, a snack bar, and a winter ticket area for the tubing. I believe that the garage area needs to be a building that we can all be proud of, and it's a corner of Valley Road and Boulder Path, a very valuable corner. Parking area needs to be clean and inviting to all, and that's the goal. And with your help and support, this could happen. We want it to happen. I've heard from this board previously about comments about parking congestions at the clubhouse, and this is my response to that problem. We're just shifting some people from one building to another. I have looked at the master plan and firmly believe that I'm following the master plan, explicitly chapter 4 in the master plan. I have read the zoning regulations and firmly believe that the uses presented are permitted by right. So we're staying within the zoning and the master plan. Now to the part of what we're doing here today. We're responding to the consultant's letter of review. Setbacks from Boulder Path is to the macadam, the asphalt. We are actually, the edge of the fence is going to be 26 feet from the edge of the pavement. If you look on the plan or what Tara brought up, we did the engineer put down 36 feet to the edge of the courts actually, but the fence sits 10 feet outside of the court, thus 26 feet. So the entire enclosed structure will be 26 feet away from the macadam, the asphalt of the traveled road. The reason for the tightness on that corner is we were trying to get the entire pickleball court area and furthest away from any residential areas. And that's why we're hugging it right up against the road. And that's what. The other review is a stamp plan provided at this date. I'm asking for a waiver until June. At that time, we're having problems we have the engineers here from Horizon. The field crews are obviously very busy, and this is not as big a priority as some of the other jobs that they have lined up, but we have hired them back in the wintertime. It's not like we've been neglectful and haven't done that. You have accepted this plan previously. The reason I hired Horizon was they did the original plan of the original builder. Which, so it's gonna be kind of a simple field work type thing when they do get out to do it. The building is not moving. We're assuming it's in the same spot as was approved previously. We're just adding 2 pickleball courts, which if any reason, they're easier to move than a building. So the buildings are gonna stay the same. We have added, new parking areas. We're suggesting that we will have 17 spots on site. If you look at the review letter from Tara, it's, I think we're well within that number that we're planning. The 17 should be fine. In total, we have 65 parking spots dedicated on our property for our members. So in general, the business itself has to be looked at kind of in entirety, not necessarily lot by lot by lot. We do own 65 parking spots at this point. And we're trying to alleviate that congestion by moving some people down to the, call it the maintenance garage area. Drainage, we are gonna install drainage on our site for maintaining our own drainage problem. We are accepting a ton of water. It's hard for us to calculate drainage systems when the water from the roads are just running right onto our property on all sides into the tune of hundreds of thousands of gallons. And we're maintaining, we're trying to funnel that water right back out. I mean, you've been here on rainstorms where the whole fairways get all flooded up. That's not from us, that's from the road and from the hills. We are gonna maintain the drainage on this site. It sits lower than the surrounding roads. We're only gonna have an impervious surface of 40 by 60. It's not a big area as far as impervious goes. And we will maintain that drainage on that site. If for any reason we're shifting water onto either public property or private water, we will correct it within the 30 days. I think the conditions on there is more than adequate and it makes sense. All right. And once the town finishes with Boulder Path, as far as their drainage concerns, we have a better idea of what we're going to be able to handle. We're only assuming we're going to handle what is on our impervious surface. Right now, we're not. We're accepting water all day long from the roads. And it's hard for us to calculate that with a drainage plan or make the whole thing a drainage. As far as safety goes, that was another concern. I would like to deal with the safety officer and work that plan out with him and have it more of an ongoing deal, meaning if we're providing lighting because the winter gets dark at 3, we kind of forget that. We put lights on here. We have a crosswalk that's there. The site from one distance to the other is much better than it was at the clubhouse. So we're accepting that the safety issue will be less of a problem on this site than at the clubhouse. And we would like to work with the safety officer on that. Landscape plan, we're basically talking about a green area in the front of the building. There is a huge buffer there now. We're talking about grassing it in and maintaining the grass areas, keeping the white pines. I'm talking about putting a split rail fence on that corner to give it a more visual look into it. And plantings, we're going to concentrate our plantings on the back side of the courts between the tree lines there and the neighbors. As far as fencing, we're talking about solid wood fencing, 8 feet and 4 feet in the middle, but 8 feet on the corners and sides and the back side of the neighbor. We're going to do it out of wood structure and versus galvanized steel. And that hopefully that will alleviate some of the noise issue, or at least slow it down a little bit. And there is noise without a doubt, but it can be mediated as best as possible. It's never going to be eliminated 100%, but we can get it down as best we can. And I believe the noise thing should be an ongoing thing. So we just keep doing something until we can get it right somehow. There is no lighting on the site as far as after darkness. We're not intend to use the courts after dark. And we would basically, people would be offering. And our expected operation down there would probably be in the summertime at best May 15th to the very latest October 15th. I'm not anticipating a huge deal there. Again, we're going to keep it within our membership. and not open it to the public in general section. And there are only literally two. I did go down to Hilton Head. I looked at courts down there. They're putting pickleball courts on existing tennis courts, which happen to have a different sound level. But those tennis courts are backed up right up against the condos. And that's, I think, where they're having the most problem. We are literally providing a buffer. The closest house is 140 some odd, 150 feet, 250 feet, I think. The other one is 300 something on feet. We're basically could go up with 35 feet as a buffer. But we're going as far away as we can physically get these things and still be on the property. The most important part, I think, is to revisit these conditions 12 months from today. Whatever gets approved, with approval with the conditions, one of the conditions would be that we review this whole project after it's operated and maybe tweak it a little bit more. I would like to see this as a continuous type approval. That's kind of unique a little bit. Obviously, whatever you do is in black and white, but I would like to have, one of the conditions is that we open this back up again in 12 months' time and look at it and talk about it and maybe add more conditions at that time. Hopefully more conditions that make everybody happier. All right. It should be an ongoing deal because the business has evolved. As you all know, businesses evolve. They don't stay stagnant. And site plan review on this property was last done in 2010. That is literally 15 years ago. It was a different kind, a different setup. There weren't 21 neighbors on one side, and most of the neighbors on the other side were seasonal at best. So things have changed, and I think this will change again. And I just want to make sure that this is an ongoing business that's been in existence for a long time. And part of the problem that we have is we provide open space, green space, and supported recreational activities by all residents of this town that want to join. And it is something that we have to maintain, and it's not cheap to maintain sometimes. So I'm asking this board to accept my application as complete with the understanding that a public hearing will be set in June. I also would like to ask that you have a public hearing on site before that June meeting at any time and open up to the public and the board and do a legit meeting on site. I think that would go a long way to relieving some of the concerns, because there's nothing better. You can look at plans all you want, but until you walk it, I guess it's, not safe. So I'm asking for waivers for the stamp plan, basically. Again, Verizon did stamp the original plan that was done in 2010. We have scheduled the field crew to go out there. They're obviously scheduled to go out there. Once the field crew goes out to re-verify the conditions of the site, they will come back, and then the engineer will restamp the plan. And we anticipate to have that by the June meeting. And then after that, once everything gets all cool, we'll present a as-built plan too, which means just everything was proposed is where we said it was. And Andrew is here from Verizon to kind of reiterate that they did the original plans. You have to remember, plans are done by a company, but the individual stamps are done by individual engineers. And 15 years ago, the original engineer that stamped these plans that you accepted, the town accepted, and we accepted as residents, no longer works for Verizon, so he cannot restamp this plan. So we have to go out and look at the data again and then stamp the plan. That's the deal.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, understood. So dealing with these waivers, if what I understand you to say is that the engineer will measure, present, and show us a drawing that is not the day of the meeting, but several days, at least give us a chance to review what the drawing says. If you promise to do that, I'd say that this waiver, well, we'll ask the board to decide, but the waiver is an acceptable presentation.
Bill,
Go ahead, Tara.
that's not granting a waiver. can I, so I made some comments. I addressed his waiver requests. The comments I gave you, if you go through and discuss the questions in italics, that will lead you to your answer on his waiver requests. My recommendation is that you decide today what else needs to be on the plan. Ask for that by June 3rd, with the understanding that you'll accept it as complete and hold the public hearing on June 13th, as long as you have the additional information on June 3rd. Saying, okay, not today, but next month, that's not granting a waiver.
No, that's not my intention.
All right, it's just how you said it, so I don't want the AI that does the minutes pick it up that way. So, that's my recommendation, is that you let Craig and Andrew know what else you need to see. Ask for it by June 3rd, with the understanding that you'll continue the submission to June 13th. And if you received what you asked for by June 3rd, and that's the 10 days, you'll hold the public hearing on the 13th. And if I could just talk about the first item in my comments. Most of this is questions for the board that I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I said, here's what I see. The board needs to decide what you feel comfortable with. The one thing I feel strongly about is the setbacks not being correct on the plan. The plan that came this morning didn't correct the line around the perimeter of the lot that says building setbacks. First of all, it needs to say structure setback, not building. That's important when we're talking about things like a fence around a pickleball court. And it needs to show the 26 feet that Craig just said between the edge of the traveled way and the fence around the pickleball court. We don't care about this 36 feet that was added. That's nothing to do with the zoning. We need to see 26 feet from the edge of the traveled way to the fence around the pickleball court. Those are the two things I feel really strongly about in all my comments. The rest is really for the board to discuss, and I'm happy to explain any of my comments.
I'm asking for a waiver and ask for a waiver. I'd like to move this ahead. By not accepting these plans as presented, with the understanding that we will have standard plans available to you, kind of slows us up a little bit. Our time frame is very limited up here. I have people scheduled to come in and work up with him. I cannot reschedule for July and August and September. I'm out some money. I would like to recoup some of the investment. I would like to move this along. It's not like I kept this a secret since January. I think that these plans are, we can change the number that she's talking about, but if you look at the plans, and you can minus 36 minus 10, I think in your board can come up with 26. We're not asking to change it. She's not saying move it or anything on the plan. We're just saying the numbers are there. You just have to multiply. We just have to subtract. It shows the 10 around it. It shows the 36 feet. Yes, it says 36 feet. You take 36 feet from the actually edge of not the porch itself, but the fence area. If you want, I'll put the fence right up against it and then we'll move it later, but I would like to get this moving forward. I would like to accept what I'm saying as the truth, and that we are actually have an acceptable plan. That's what I would like to move forward. It doesn't mean it can't be amended. And I'm actually suggesting that we constantly can update this plan. So accepting what I'm presenting is all I'm asking for. At which time on the public hearing, there might be some comments that we can actually change and that would work together and compromise, thus that this plan might change a little bit. And that's what I would like to do, see this constantly move in that direction and constantly change it to upgrade it. As far as getting the last and only plan that we'll ever do, that might not happen for forever. Unlike a developer, we're gonna live with this plan too, and we're gonna live with this property. We've lived with it for 10 years. I plan on living for another 13 more years here. So I wanna live with it. And it's a little different than building a house or a condo complex. Build it, paint it, and let the paint dry, and then get the hell out of Dodge. That's not what's happening here. All right, and I think if you accept these plans as presented, they're 99% there. If we can change, we'll update the number, but it's simple math.
Just to be clear,
Write it in.
Okay, I understand.
can I,
Sarah, go ahead.
Craig, I don't think the changes I'm recommending require Horizons to do the field work. I believe they're things Andrew can do at his desk pretty quickly.
Yeah, we can do it right here too.
So can Andrew,
You want us to-
can Andrew respond to that?
Go ahead.
Derek, I'm sorry, can you clarify what it is you're asking from me?
So the piece of annotation that says 36 feet that we saw this morning needs to be changed so it says, so it points to the fence around the pickleball court instead and says 26 feet. And the setback line that's a buffered line from the property isn't correct. It says building setback and the distances are wrong. And I gave in my comments a list of what the correct setbacks are. That line needs to be changed. It's the plan that's in front of the board now shows the pickleball court in the setback, which it's not.
We can make those changes. I can't promise today, but before the end of the week.
I think it was 3 June.
I mean, June 3rd, I think would be fine.
As soon as you're able to do it, that
June
is,
3rd is the 10 days before the hearing.
I personally would feel more comfortable that if we get something done here. We're talking about a very minor change.
yes.
It's not a change in where the structures are, it's a change in how he wrote it out. I'm saying to you that the 10-foot setback from the actual shaded area to the end is 10 feet, and that's on here, and that it is, with simple math, you're at 26 feet.
How much time do you need, Andrew, to make these changes?
It's just an office thing.
That's
But
right.
it's not, I mean, we can do it
Okay,
with a pencil right here.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, okay, you promised to do it. It could be done in a couple of days. Then I think we could accept that the drawing is permissible.
Yeah.
Tara's shaking her head.
No, to do that, you need to continue the submission to a date that you have it in hand. There's no such thing as a conditional acceptance of complete.
So it's acceptance with waivers or it is not accepted. Is that
Right.
what-
And you can continue it till the date you expect to have those things.
I'm telling you that the number 36 is a clerical deal. No
And it
different.
doesn't hold up the hearing.
May I comment?
Yes, I want to get this done, so.
Craig, I'm not sure why you're charging up this hill, to be honest. It's not gonna make any difference whatsoever in the timing. The public
Well,
hearing won't be held.
All right, I'll just blatantly say it. You say that.
Yeah,
And I say that these hearings go on, and we're already spent a half hour on something that I don't want to spend a half hour on June. When we get to June,
right,
I want to get in the meat and potatoes of whatever's going on and tweak this thing.
right.
Don't forget that at a public hearing, this plan might change. At which time we need to change it again. So I
But
think it's an ongoing thing.
We're talking about completeness here, that's all.
Right, and I'm asking you, again, this will not change with Andrew changing that 36 to 26. That does not change the actual plan. All it is a clerical thing. It's no different than if we said, one boulder path instead of two boulder path. It's more of a clerical thing. If I'm saying to you, you could, with simple math, you could say 36 to the actual court thing, which in some areas, that is the structure. And the fencing is now 26 feet. So that's a fence thing. Fences aren't built yet. So I think it might move 1 foot or not. If we get to a public hearing and they want to shift this whole thing forward, then there's another plan coming.
But that's not what we're talking
No.
about here.
But I don't want it to go that route. I want it to get something underway. And from there, move forward. I don't want to do this I've already done this. I've already been here a couple of times to explain what we're doing. I asked for input last time. We're responding to a letter that was literally given to us on May 2nd. Here we are, May 9th, a week later, with all we're talking about now is a clerical issue.
Well, I
Yeah.
have other issues too, so.
Right, what
not-
I'm trying to do is get past this acceptance of waiver.
For this particular
That's right, when dealing with them one at a time.
setback in.
Well,
And with-
what I was trying to make clear is I don't personally, I don't think it's important to have the stamped plan. I think it's more important to have the setbacks correctly shown on this plan, and that's why it's a big difference because it doesn't require the field work to be done.
Yes, but to get past all the objections and to say that the waiver request is accepted, what do we have to do? I'm
You-
looking at Tara.
You need to go through all of the review, discuss everything you want to see, and vote on what else you want to see in a final submission.
Fine, I've.
You don't
tried-
need to vote on these waivers like you would waivers from the regulations.
No, I
You
didn't-
you accept them or not by what you tell them you want to see before you accept it as complete. It's that
Right.
simple. It's not 5 different votes. So
okay,
that, I mean, if the question, I tried to give you questions that you could use to guide the discussion is, will the board require a stamp plan prior to accepting it as complete, or would the corrections I recommended that Andrew said he can do at his desk be sufficient for accepting it as complete?
Yes, and I'm saying that, yes, those corrections would be sufficient to be
Well,
accepted.
that's a board discussion. Do you feel strongly about a stamped plan for the
Members of
hearing?
To have their opinions expressed now. Go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding is that now this public is done. We're deliberating now as far as to decide whether this plan is complete or not.
Yes.
Including the waivers that he is asking for. So the waivers are part of the discussion. So are we also then, but in order for us to vote, it's one vote, whether it's complete or not.
Yes.
Can we talk about the safety? Can we talk about drainage? as far
Indeed.
as
I
deliberating?
think we shall do
we
so,
just
but
kind of,
You have to, yes.
We need to get beyond this drawing
this is the
problem.
first,
you know, I don't
This is the
see what,
first
I'm
issue.
fine with it not being stamped personally. That's
too.
not as big of an issue
I-
for me. I agree, you know, Tara, I think it takes
Yeah.
a couple of days, hopefully, to just.
You know,
plans should
I'm
be submitted
satisfied that the
correctly.
setbacks will be met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fix
I
it.
do have a question about the setbacks. So the traveled way is the term, correct? So
Bart.
does that mean pedestrians or does that just mean vehicles?
I think the staff and I have both seen it as the vehicle portion.
Yes, it's the vehicle, traveled way.
And so we have the road as it currently stands as that, and if it gets changed during construction, it does not matter because we already approved it. Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
Then can we move on to talk about drainage? And drainage in, Craig, do you promise to alleviate drainage problems that occur on your land? That is, what we don't want is to see drainage from the paved areas and the parking areas end up as town problems.
I wholeheartedly agree with the consultant's remarks with that. Is if at any time, we're discharging drainage onto public ways or private properties, The town would give us 30 days to hire an engineer to redesign that system so that it will not happen any longer,
With
I-
improvements within 6 months.
within 6 months.
I think
Okay,
That is a,
that's,
And staff is okay with that because we have engineering that's going to be done late this summer
yes,
in September. That is going to change the drainage all along Golden Path Road. So
understood, yes.
There's
That's,
a lot of work to be done, so.
Piper is
Craig
gonna
and I
dig
talked
up
about
that
this.
road and improve the drainage of the road.
Well, right,
we hope so.
that's gonna be our goal, and we're
Right.
gonna work with Craig to work on the stormwater management of that whole road. And it goes beyond Craig's property, it goes up to the tennis center and the BBTS all the way up there.
Good.
So there's a lot of work and a lot of changes that would happen when we hold it down.
Understood. Comment.
I would just say to move along for the purposes of deciding whether or not this plan is complete, that we accept as a condition the language presented to us by our consultant with regard to drainage, as was just discussed here, with the date, the timing and the date, all in that particular condition.
I agree.
Accepted?
Yeah, great.
Did you,
Next.
you missed parking?
Oh, no,
No,
we're
we
moving
haven't-
along.
No, it's on the
Trying to
tip
move
of my
along.
tongue to say that
We can
parking
skip it though.
is the
It's
next
great.
item to be
Right.
discussed. So what
So
I understand,
I just want to explain, Craig's good to mention how many spaces he has overall and that it's one business. If you wanted to look at it that way, you'd really need to see a more comprehensive parking plan showing the parking generation by each of the business pieces. And looking at numbers, I don't think you'd see enough parking. But if you look at this lot by itself, then I think you do have enough information to accept it.
I'm happy with the parking. I don't have an issue with that.
yeah, modifying to 17 spaces seems acceptable.
And you can talk about whether 17 is acceptable after the public hearing, but today is, do you have enough information for a future determination whether it's acceptable? And I feel you do if you look at this lot alone.
Okay,
I agree.
then we've covered the 3 areas of waiver request.
I mean, there are other things
There's
on
other
Tara's
things that-
list.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, let's talk about them.
Safety, yeah.
Go ahead,
Well, I'm just reading your comments, but
do it.
pedestrian crossings of Boulder Path are expected to increase in both summer and when golfers walk over the new food window or to play pickleball. And in winter, when ticketing for tubing takes place at what is now the maintenance building. I recommend that the planning board request written recommendations from Director of Public Safety Dave Noyes prior to approval regarding e.g. cones and or temporary sandwich boards warning drivers of pedestrians in the road so that any such recommendations can be included in the written conditions of approval to be voted on by the board.
Mark,
From the staff standpoint, it also goes back to the road design. So any conditions that you put in have to take into account that pedestrian traffic on Boulder Path Road is going to be modified somehow. When we repave that, hopefully next year, that whole, and that corner is a big piece of the design work that the town road engineer will be working with. And Craig and I have already talked about ways to alleviate, lessen the pedestrian crossings in that area. So if you look at all of the paving that we've done from Valley Road all the way into town, we changed all the pedestrian crosswalks. And we're gonna do the same thing on Boulder Path Road. So pedestrian safety is really gonna be handled a lot by the new design. And that will be unknown at the time that you're gonna vote. So however you word the conditions, We can do temporary things as Kara recommended, but the final design will have more to do with the redesign of the road than it will with this project.
Right.
Understood.
Yeah, and I think that we should have some temporary because the time lag between when this project could be potentially be completed and by the time we get to Boulder Path reconstruction, like there needs to be, I would like to see something from public safety or, saying this is what we're gonna do today. Because, if we're gonna assume that this project potentially would be done before that, like what in the meantime? Because there will be a lot of more, I mean, I drive up and down that road all the time, there, kids, they get excited, they're gonna run over to tubing, they're gonna, they get excited, so either it's the boards that she talked about, warning people to
We've
slow
got-
down
we've
or
got
whatever it
pedestrian-
is, something easy, it doesn't have to be, but just, I think that there needs to be some. That needs to be.
We have pedestrian crossing markings that DPW and public safety can work on with Craig to address those types of issues.
That just needs
Okay.
to be, that just needs to be in the.
Yes, and what I understand, that's good. And that I understand your willingness to work with public safety to make these.
I think that's where it should be. Not necessarily, we're not experts on it,
Right.
Dave has to live with this plan. One of the things about the landscape was putting the split rail fence in will funnel some people into certain places where they can walk across the street. We do that now, whether, I think some of you have been out there in the winter time, we do have some fencing out on the course that is really not for the golf course, it's actually for the tubing. So we funnel people right now from the clubhouse straight to the tubing hills along those fencing. We're anticipating putting some split rail fence on the Boulder side, on both sides of the property, to funnel people directly from the garage area, tubing ticket, directly across the street, through fencing, helping to direct people, so it's not, because right now it's wide open.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And we can funnel people to a certain degree to help them know where to walk from. We also are gonna put in, on this, it's not a major plan, we're adding some post lamps, and now they're not street lights. I prefer to do post lamps, which what you see at the end of your driveway, that we can actually switch on and off, because we're only gonna need it. The tubing is literally, last year was less than 46 days. And we don't anticipate the tubing actually be much more than 46 days in an entire year. So 46 days, that light should be on, not the other 320 days.
Yeah, and we're talking about winter time.
Right, so but we're talking about post lamps to actually light up, and if you notice, the tubing hill is pretty lit up out there. We're gonna ask lights on both sides of the property, actually sort of funnel people
Thank you.
with the lighting.
So Margaret has raised her hand.
Yes, Margaret.
Yeah, just a minor comment that I saw in Tara's write-up. The people who golf are not going to be crossing back over the road from the 9th hole to go to the snack shop, because the same snacks that are going to be available there are available in the clubhouse. And this particular snack shop is between the 8th and the 9th hole. So if they're going to get snacks, they'll probably get them on the way before they cross over to the 9th hole. So I don't think there's going to be an increase in traffic of golfers going across the road. Just minor point.
Okay, accepted. Rich.
Again, for the purpose of moving things along, I'm struggling a little bit, Tara, with the language for a condition here. Would something along the lines of that the applicant agrees to abide by or to follow the direction of the town public safety officer with regard to temporary and later permanent markings for pedestrian safety be
Hold
a
on.
condition?
We shouldn't really talk about the conditions of approval today, because we're talking about it, but I just tried to cover all the issues, but my recommendation is that today you ask Dave, who's on Zoom, to provide some recommendations at the next meeting. And in this case, it would be about temporary safety mitigation. And the next meeting would be the time to do that, but that while he's sitting here, you could ask him today if he could do that.
Dave, do you accept to do that?
Yes, that's fine. I can do that. I will work it out with the Public Works Director for what we might need to do there temporarily.
It needs to be signed off by DPW as well, because it's gonna be more of an issue in the winter with the tubing than I think it's going to be in the summer. But, so I'd like Megan to work with Dave to do that, and that's great.
I mean,
Okay with you, Dave?
Yep, we'll do that and we'll have a recommendation for you next meeting.
quick question, from a plowing perspective? you think?
Well, it's plowing, but she is the road agent. She's responsible for road markings and all of that. She can work with Dave and they'll come up with a plan and give it to you for the temporary.
Okay, Rick?
Thanks. One other question, I guess, with regard to public safety. There's a line, right, where that responsibility for the safety crosses over from the property owner to the town. I would assume it at the roadway. Or even maybe crossing where Craig has to be supportive of a safe crossing from the perspective of you're either getting to his property or leaving his property to go across the street. But when you're in the street, that's the town's responsibility in making sure that that's a safe crosswalk and.
It's within the planning board's purview to require a business to participate in mitigation.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yes, yes, and I've already asked Craig and he's already said, yes, he promises to do that.
Right.
Okay. I think we're close to where we want to be. Are there any other comments about these waivers?
There are two.
Landscaping was the one other issue that I thought I brought up last time and wanted the board to be sure you're all set with it not being shown on the plan, but just being a planting list.
Rick?
I was gonna say, I'm fine with it, and I think this is a thing that is, you can adapt to whatever you need to make it either look better or provide additional noise barrier between the
Yes, and I'm also
fence and the.
relying on Craig's comment that the landscaping plan, among other things, is flexible.
Yeah.
And that if there are comments at the public hearing and comments that carry on after this project require some augmentation, that he'll do it.
Yes.
Yes.
I will.
Okay. Morgan? Anything else on your?
I would like to see more detailed plans, but I understand that it's flexible, like nothing's set in stone because maybe you can't find a certain type of plant that you listed, but I get that.
Well, I don't know how to explain it, but it has to be the property has to be inviting.
Correct.
At the same token, so it's not, you don't wanna shield it 100% off, you want to make it inviting and drive by. It's a hugely important corner. If I was here 20 years ago, I probably would not have put the maintenance garage there.
No.
All right, and to be honest with you, it doesn't even work for me that well. And by changing this and moving the business around a little bit, it does force me to keep the thing cleaner and invites to make it more appealing. Our intention is to actually make this look exactly or pretty close to what we've done with the clubhouse.
Okay.
Meaning the color coordination, the flower augmentations, the mulch gardens and whatnot. Those things all took time to do with the clubhouse. You cannot just snap your fingers and this all happen. Some of the landscaping has more to do, immediately has to do with noise mediation.
Okay.
And that's really what I concentrated on today. We are in the process of doing some minor stuff out front. We want to put irrigation in there. We want to put it's easier for me to maintain a lawn area that's greener and inviting than a bushy garden.
Yeah, agreed, but
yeah.
there's one that's more attractive than another, right?
Maybe, and so but I do want to make it both inviting and also something that we're all proud of, since we do literally drive by this corner 5 times a day. So, and there is a huge amount of foot traffic on this road, huge amount. Which is what we're gonna be really working with the designer on that road, is to try to make this road a little bit more beautiful than what you see there today. And I think we can do that. I really do.
Okay.
I mean, this goes outside of this hearing, but like moving the gazebo off in the interior of the property and moving it out onto the road and rebuilding the gazebo, to having some vista parking on that road, because it's not a day goes by that somebody doesn't stop and take a picture of Osceola.
It's gorgeous.
Right, but it should be made, it should be done in an inviting way.
Perfect. I appreciate that response.
Rich,
Yeah, I would just say that the provided planting list is sufficient for me as opposed to a a landscaping plan, as long as that's the minimum.
okay, I think it's a fair comment that it's in Craig's interest to make this property as attractive as it possibly can be, and that so far, he's done a good job in improving the property from the way it was before he purchased it to the way it is now.
And it would be
So-
nice to see the maintenance area more or less removed from that.
Yes,
as Craig said, it's a,
yes.
it's a
And
very
all of the
important.
machinery, the piles of
Right.
dirt and all of that, this is definitely an improvement compared to what was there
Right.
last 2 or 3 years.
Do you know which email the planting list came in?
It was part of the application.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in,
It's
it's
like
one
a
of the
handout.
pages. Yeah, well, it was actually typed out, I believe.
Okay.
Morgan,
Towards
is
the
there
end.
anything further on the list?
The last thing that Tara has made notice of is noise.
Okay, let's talk about noise.
So it doesn't, we don't have anything in our. That we can't
Ordinance.
really, or, yeah,
The ordinance do not pertain to noise on recreation property. It doesn't mean that it'll never be that way, but in order to have anything in the ordinance that, because it's the planning board's job is to maintain and observe, enforce, if you like, the ordinances, but not other things. We do what's in the ordinance. And in order for that ordinance to be modified to talk about noise, we need a proposal for a warrant, and it has to be brought before the town meeting for a vote. That's the way in which that could be done. At the moment, the ordinances do not talk about noise.
yes.
Rich,
Yeah, I would just simply say that again, in terms of measuring whether or not this plan is complete. There is no standard on noise with which to compare, so it should not even be part of the discussion.
understood, but I think it's a concern, particularly for the people who are here,
Yeah, I understand.
that noise and that pickleball makes noise. The fact that there's an 8-foot wooden fence around it does, it helps. Doesn't get rid of the noise. Now, would it be part of your consideration if noise is still a problem with respect to the bordering residents to put up, say, padded devices?
Bill, I think that that's a conversation for later. My point in including it in these comments is that as the board members have pointed out, you don't have and you led off with, you don't have any grounds to discuss noise today.
I agree
Because
with,
it's not something that can be included in the application.
yes, but it is the elephant in the room.
It's not, yeah, but you really shouldn't be discussing any substantive issues today.
Not get into the substance issue. I'm advocating that this hearing or this approval, hopefully, will be continued for a 12-month period, at which time we can talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And I would like to make this whole thing a plan that actually, continuously works. And
I heard that,
yes,
and it makes sense.
and I think you could talk in general terms like that.
Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not clear why it would make sense when you aren't authorized to discuss noise.
Now I'm talking about the general.
It's nice that Craig has offered that, but my recommendation is that you don't do that because you don't have grounds to discuss noise.
Accepted. Okay, moving on.
Again, what we're looking at here is not the public hearing and a final approval or not.
Yeah, this is not a meeting of final approval,
Of
no.
the plan, it's whether or not this plan is complete, so we can
Correct.
move to that stage. To have that discussion at the public hearing and then have discussion among the board, whether or not to approve it.
Yes,
So I would say that I'm just gonna move on to, do we need to wait, Tara, to 3 June? I'm interested in why you think that you picked that particular date, why if Horizons can't satisfy your engineering plan notations, that we couldn't have that done sooner so that we could potentially have a public hearing earlier, so that if the board decides not to decide at a public hearing, we still could come at it again in June. Am I making sense?
You
no,
could certainly, meet earlier. My June 3rd was assuming that what you'd do is continue the submission to June 13th and schedule a public hearing for the 13th, and the 3rd is just 10 days prior to
I
that,
gotcha.
so that everybody would have the required 10 days with the correct plan. But certainly that could all be moved up if that's what the board wanted to do.
In other words, hold a special planning board meeting that includes a public hearing prior to our next scheduled regular meeting.
meeting which is June
Which
13,
is
I
June
think
13,
we
which
could
gives
do
us-
it prior to
Which
that.
gives us a reserved time to talk about it. In the event we do approve it, it's a question of timing.
Okay.
And then
let's
I
go-
think the question is just what the staff would need in terms of time to do the notices 10 days before whatever date you were gonna meet.
Okay,
I
next,
still would like to do a site plan beforehand.
Oh, site visit, sure, okay.
Site visit, yeah.
We can do as part of the special,
I want it advertised.
yeah, no. we-
I have no objection to
special
that.
meeting.
Anybody else? Any comments? No, I think it's a good
Great
idea. Good idea.
So to move it
Okay.
forward,
Excuse me. The purpose of today's meeting is to decide whether this plan is complete. And I think we're close to, Mark has a comment.
Just to answer Tara's question, we have no problem getting notices in the mail next week. And doing the advertising on the website, I think Craig's right, if you're gonna do a site walk. Let people, make sure people know, but we can do that next week, so you're anytime, 10 days after Thursday or Friday, so anytime from the 26th, 27th on, you could do a special meeting.
Good.
We would have 10 days.
And you'll want to be sure and accept it as complete before beginning your site visit. You could do that at the site,
Okay,
but
think
that's really kind of part of the public hearing process and the substantive part, so you want to make sure and still cross that T.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to give us some flexibility and stick with your Thursday meetings. If you do the special meeting on the 30th, we will definitely be able to get the notices out. in time.
that's sounding like the date on which we will zero in, the 30th.
Well, assuming when we get the amended.
Yeah, well, we've got the amended plan.
All right.
here.
Back to the objective,
Oh,
which is to determine whether or not this plan is,
no,
Accept it with waivers.
we've dealt with, that is, we'll take one vote. But we've dealt with the waiver pertaining to the drawing and the setbacks. We've dealt with the commitment regarding drainage. And we've dealt with the accessibility and the sufficiency of parking. Those were the three requests. And
So my recommendation, given what I've heard from the board, would be to continue the submission until you receive the plan with the corrections to the setback line and annotation that can be done as a desktop chore.
and just make that the first.
the first item on the 30th
Thirtieth.
for completion.
Okay, then to determine whether or
Are
not.
you going to have a site visit prior to the 30th, or will the 30th start at the site?
I'd like to do the site visit as soon as we possibly could.
And that's.
So you,
Just the site visit be the 30th. It's a public hearing, advertised on the 30th. And then the following hearing would be here, would be June 13th, I believe.
With the public hearing.
Well, they're both public.
Understood.
All right,
But-
but I'm also asking if it's just to move this forward.
Yes,
I want to get this moving. And what I hear is that everything is kind of cool, except for some clerical numbers that we can do on a desktop. You've agreed to not have a stamp plan. I'm saying to you, nothing's gonna change as far as locations of any structures or any fencing or anything. It's more of erasing a 20-foot setback line there, erasing it. And then putting instead of 36, 26. If you could accept this plan as complete, we're gonna provide those, and if, at which time on the 30th, let's say you have a public hearing, you could renege if we don't have it done, you could renege this thing.
no, there's nothing in state law that lets them unaccept it.
No comment. But just saying, in general, I wanna get this thing moving forward. You're talking about clerical stuff here.
Yes, and that's what we're about to vote on.
Yes, I wanna move it forward, and I need to go mow, all right?
The 65-day clock starts when you vote to accept it as complete. So when you vote to accept it as complete, you have 65 days to make a decision on what you have in front of you now.
Was there a reason why we couldn't in 2 weeks do on May 23rd? I know it's going into is it just the weekend, but you need 10 days to again to kind of move things up sooner?
We could visit, we
The-
can
the
actually
week
physically
before?
do that today.
That is a
That's
public,
2
no, that
weeks.
requires noticing to a public.
But
No,
don't
we need the
to-
10 days.
Site visit.
Yeah, but that's just 2 weeks is the 23rd. But I don't, no, we can't. I'm just saying, just to move things
Right.
along, because I don't think it's complete. I mean, he needs to make changes, but I understand the time pressure. So, just to kind of help. The 23rd wouldn't work, wouldn't give anybody enough time or.
what does
it's
Mark
2
say?
weeks. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I don't, I don't know.
Well, doing it on the 23rd, we would have to get it out by Friday.
Tomorrow.
And that means we have to have the,
Or
Okay.
I guess Monday is the 13th, that would be 10 days, but that.
That's not 10 clear days. You were right to say Friday, Mark.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Then we have,
Okay.
no, that's probably not.
The 30th, the 30th would be the safest for the public hearing to get certified mailings out to the abutters. Like we need to do, to make
Okay.
sure that it's clear.
So a way you could do this is meet at the site at 8 on the 30th. See if you have the plan that with the changes we're asking for, accept it as complete, hold the site visit, and then say 9 o'clock or 9:30 or whatever you feel comfortable with, we'll reconvene in your meeting room for the public hearing. And Craig could potentially have his approval on the 30th.
No, I'm suggesting that the public hearing and complete, you can meet at 8 o'clock or 8:30, whatever time you want, on the 30th. We're only talking about 2 clerical items, right, that we need to change right now for the 30th. 36 to 26, and erase a 20-foot setback line, correct?
That's what,
No, I'm recommending that the setback line around the perimeter of the property on the plan be corrected. It's incorrect in several places. It's incorrectly labeled. And that piece of annotation you're talking about needs to be changed, so it's 26 feet from the fence.
Typically, so that we can get this done right this second, so we know exactly what needs to be changed. I'm suggesting that the 20-foot setback is from the property lines, that needs to be erased and changed to 25 feet from the asphalt, correct? Correct?
Yes,
All right, so we're gonna change that dotted line that's on our plan today from 20 feet from the property line to 25 feet to that asphalt, Thousand Way. And that would change that dotted line. That's all it's gonna change, and that will change, correct?
It's
On the-
incorrect in other places on the plan too. It's not showing 35 feet from the LDR.
We did.
She didn't spell it out, so I need, if we're gonna keep making changes, we gotta, let's. give
I
it a
did
list.
spell it out and I'm, you know, happy to reiterate it in an email to Andrew.
Or is it incorrect?
It's incorrect along Boulder Path and it's incorrect along the LDR. And it's incorrect in saying building setback when it's structure setback and applies to the fence around the pickleball court.
Building structure, they're all kind of the same.
Okay.
It's not the same and it's defined differently in the zoning ordinance.
We will change that dotted line along Boulder Path to 25 feet from the asphalt, correct?
That's one of the things that's incorrect.
Put in a 35-foot line on the LDR,
But it
right?
says right here in the comments, those
Yeah.
things right there.
From May 2nd.
Right.
Okay, can you work this out with Tara so that we can
Well, I'm
proceed with the
working on it
meeting?
right Now, so,
I know what you're trying to do,
It's
but
written, though, you have that document, correct?
well, that is actually has changed a little bit, so.
No, it hasn't.
If you have made those changes,
Right.
which, you can take
But
that.
okay, the
and-
board, because the board's
on
gonna
your own
vote on
time.
this. So those are what the board's looking for is that, because the plan say 25 feet maximum, and we'll show it at 26 feet, because that's where we're proposing to put it, the fence. But the dotted line is what we're really owned by now, I guess.
so where I think we are now is that we are going to meet again on the 30th. That is, we're gonna have a continuance of this to the 30th. Where we will look at whatever alterations have been made. And accept it as, that is, we'll make a determination then whether it's complete. And at
Right.
that time, we will do the walkthrough that you have proposed. And we will also have a public hearing here on the 30th. Once
So
we get past that, we may be able to proceed with discussion. Where the board can deliberate on approval.
right, the meeting on site is inviting the public in.
I think so.
Public meeting.
It has to be.
Public meeting.
And they will be part of the discussion for the walkthrough.
Yes,
Not,
If they want to be, yes. Absolutely, if they want.
My
to be,
intention
they
is
can be.
to have.
no,
invite
do
them
they have
in.
to be part of the discussion?
If that's up to the board.
Right.
If you guys want to be.
But we're really talking about just the minor changes on the plans will be submitted. We can do that almost immediately.
almost
You're all set
immediately.
on the other waivers, so we're not gonna deal with those again.
We've discussed the other waivers. And unless there is comment from other board members,
So Margaret? Margaret's
that
good?
Margaret's okay with this, then I think that we could proceed with the meeting on the 30th.
Be comfortable? Yes.
So do you have to make a motion or?
To rule on the completeness of the,
Would someone like to make a motion?
Well, I move to continue this, to have a continuance until May 30th. And for the site approval that's presented in front of us
To deal with the
for
conditions.
completion, yeah, for the completion of this proposal.
Okay, would you like to try to reiterate so that the
I
the
know.
recording,
Okay. So I move to have a continuance for the site proposal to May 30th. For the discussion of the approval of the site.
well, no, for
Or-
actually, to
Talk
to
about
review the
completion.
changes made, the conditions made by the planning
Planning.
board. So that we can rule on or decide on whether or not the plan is complete. And therefore then can move to a public hearing. And then at some point after that, a deliberation and vote on the approval of the plan.
right?
Okay. Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Right.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
Mark? You have a comment, Craig? Later. That's good. I like that. Therefore, I think that is, depending on, all right, I'll make a comment later as well.
You're done.
I think then that this portion of the meeting is complete. And that we'll see y'all on the 30th,
What time?
8 o'clock, same as this meeting.
On site.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I have the receipt.
Huh?
You have the unseat and reseat.
Yeah. I'm gonna reseat the chairman. Okay, as standing chairman, right, I reseat the previous chairman.
All right, so
What are you saying no to?
Nothing. I think that, I need a drink.
You can always put something in your coffee.
Yeah, you know.
We do have to decide whether we want to, allow public comment at the site.
does anybody want to take a 3-minute break here for a minute?
I think so.
Let's get up and just stretch the leg a little bit. Rich, I'll get right back.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
Rich,
Or
at,
not.
at
Yeah.
a site visit, you really should just be, asking any questions you have of the applicant, not discussing the merits and not accepting public comment yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right? Yeah, thank you.
I have a technical question. Even though I
Where?
guess I'm seated again.
Well, actually, you can't ask that question right now.
He's,
Because the board is taking a break. Not everyone is here.
Well, no,
Just hang
it's
on.
about this application, don't ask. You are recused from this, you should not.
Right, we can't.
talking to anybody.
Ask me after the meeting, and we'll try to get you an answer, but don't talk about.
I'll talk to
this
you later.
No, don't, I'm serious, Mike.
No, I understand.
You're recused.
I understand.
Okay.
As am I.
At the public hearing, though, he can be part of the public.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Well,
and,
well, that's what Mark is saying, that you can
Right.
talk to Mark as a resident to the town staff. If
Right.
you have a technical question on the matter.
Yeah.
But not the board.
Don't talk. to
Not a
the board.
technical question on the matter, never mind.
This-
It's on a different issue.
I have a question on a different, are we doing the paving that Piper's doing right now, or is that
We are
Association.
doing it to the turnaround, and then the.
the association
I-
picking up the
recreation
rest?
is doing it.
It's at their cost. They just added on since we were gonna be there.
Could you feel the steamroller, no, I don't know what they call them
It's
nowadays,
a
No.
vibratory roller.
Yeah.
but like I
Was that
had
at 7
pictures on
was
my
that at
wall going like
7:01?
this,
Was that at 7:01?
and I'm not sure.
Well, we want to get him in and out, so. The select board said just Yeah.
Except they've done.
Started.
at 3 o'clock.
7, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They can go to 7
they
PM.
went pretty late one night this
Yeah,
week.
most of the time they're out of there at 3.
Yeah, but 7 PM is, they're allowed to until 8 AM to 7 PM. And we granted them a waiver to start at 7 AM. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense that most construction crews finish up 3, 4. But I think they're pressing they want to get this, especially with the weather. Are they gonna be able to do the paving, today as planned, or is it,
Depends on what happens.
we're still
It's
waiting
gonna
to
be
see?
tomorrow, it will be the paving if it does not.
It's downpour, not just a little rain, or,
A little rain is actually good, the vibratory roller is better,
right,
you get better compaction.
right,
And they're just putting a base coat on first.
right,
Tomorrow.
right.
The top coat for both Snowsbrook and Osceola
Right,
will be Monday if the weather cooperates. But that cannot have any moisture.
okay, yeah, it's looking pretty wet though, the rest,
Yeah,
Yes.
early next week.
They're all like meeting.
Have we contemplated on the crosswalks in particular, doing a stamped, do these guys provide that service? A stamped asphalt, so that it almost looks like cobblestones?
We're not gonna let
I mean, across the road?
Yeah, instead of painting them, it's like doing a,
that's not part of their contract. You better make a couple good.
I think we don't, at a plowing thing, I mean,
Well, no, I mean.
I know we don't like the
we're
rumble
not doing what we
strips.
Do, but.
It's not,
we
it's,
did not.
not a rumble
include
strip.
this. We didn't
Well-
include that in this. charter.
yeah, we might want to think about that, like when we do, Boulder Path.
It
You know.
will be a maintenance issue because if you have those little grooves, they will retain the snow and ice. And it will be slippery wherever that crossing is.
Yeah, I don't, we had, they did that in Durham, that's why I'm asking.
How were they?
That was never a problem. I think because we put so much salt down and whatever, that doesn't.
Right.
Well, but that's the other thing,
Yeah.
is we're dealing with
Is that
people
what you got
who
last year?
don't wanna.
No, we
put
went to
in
Mexico
salt.
last year.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Same club member.
We get a lot of.
Have
comments
responsibilities,
about that.
and I'm
Can't
gonna worry
win.
about what anybody's gonna eat.
People want Black Road, some people want roads to be completely.
I am, like, we've gone there,
You know, just like the summertime.
We've been to
Some of
club
them
med
want
3 times.
no.
Different places.
Or signs
Yeah,
for
like-
pedestrian
Signs
crossing.
are the same.
We, the recommendation we got was more extensive signage, we don't do it.
Just people don't want
People don't want the flashing lights and, you know, all that stuff.
But some
And then
people
we
want
have flexibility there, I mean, we had
Right.
one thing,
So-
so before we got there,
Like,
and then
We
we
gotta
then,
balance it.
you know.
And so
Had
we've
somebody
done
else just,
some
you know,
kind
take
of
over for the other.
smaller
Which again, to your
signs
point
than
about
what
we didn't
the
decide,
federal
where, I
highway
think it was trying to do the side road and we're gonna eat, but other
You know,
than
that's
that,
what
like,
you just
yeah, it was amazing.
make modifications.
And the person, people were so knowledgeable.
Work it out.
All the.
Find the sweet spot.
Find the
So
sweet spot.
knowledgeable and like.
Which usually is not possible.
They were off the beaten path.
Well, the thing is, about the sweet spot is it makes everybody.
Right, exactly, well,
Yeah, nobody gets what they
well,
want.
that,
Nowadays, there's no compromise, so it's my way or the highway. Unintended.
This one from
Be the sour
Portland.
but that's, that's, when you know you have a successful.
I have a successful solution.
Nobody is happy.
Right, if everybody's mad at me, I'm doing a good.
That's right, because you got a little, everybody got a little something.
No one like winning, I'm winning. I'm taking everybody's.
Well, you signed up for this thing.
I did.
And she needs a trees for every person, and then she
It's not,
continues to plant, well,
You
she's
know,
passed now, but.
we'll get there. And Boulder Path Road is probably.
Yeah, I have a terrible cancer.
Six to
I mean,
eight
you know, that's.
nine.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I'm sure the.
So that was. the question.
Input at the front.
Oh, that's-
Family was from-
You already know that's gonna be a major.
Let's go.
I have a vested interest in that.
That's-
Well, yeah, but you know, we've already had
Right.
comment, at the select board on it.
Let's find this thing.
Pretty
that
set
is
opinions
not
already.
Yeah, the whole sidewalk
Still
thing.
usually
First
The sidewalk.
You can
And
find out we have the
relevant
right.
to-
law.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Go from there.
We don't know where what's about.
Like-
With Craig or,
Yeah, everybody goes to the Netherlands to see the tulips.
you know.
Or Paris.
So we've got.
Well, I hope it's not half my front lawn.
Yeah.
It's almost
Well, it
like,
may, it may.
a
be.
diesel
It's amazing what you find out when you start literally digging.
We are- we are
finding
finding
right up.
that-
They're not-
Old water bill was different.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
my
of.
brother went there in the
uh,
summer.
Finish this business.
Spots in
Never
town
been
where
there. Been
things
to
that were not.
London,
where they-
surrounding area.
Yeah, they got adjusted based on somebody.
It was a company town, and I put it that way.
His wife did got us stuff.
Can we call it back to order?
You can get you a gavel. Mr.
Robert.
Fitz,
Yes, sir.
Call the meeting back to order,
I gotta leave in a.
Mr. Secretary?
Okay, let's proceed.
You're not leaving.
I got it.
Dropping you, shit. Okay, we're back on board. Tara, you can still hear us okay? Everyone can hear us that's online?
Yep. We're good.
Do you have to unseat, reseat people, or is it just business as usual?
Let me see.
Yeah, you have to reseat.
I gotta
Mike and
repeat.
Margaret,
Mike Appel,
and remove Margaret.
Reseated.
and we'll have to remove Margaret.
Yes.
Sorry, Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, yeah.
Yeah, we got 7 votes.
Okay. Okay, so the next order of business is old business.
Mhm.
I think Tara is more, this is the HOP
Right.
information, so. Tara, I'm gonna ask you to come on board with this one, because we talked about this a lot, but you got a lot more information on that. Yes,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I apologize for this late request, but we have folks here for the next item. Listen to the next item. And this
Oh.
presentation of assessment is more of a internal,
Oh,
strictly planning
could be
board, and then we go into
it
the
could be
master
lengthy.
plan, action plan.
good point, yeah.
So I would.
So we'll go to the next
recommend-
one, which is just the Golden Heights.
Which also involves
Yeah, that being
Tara,
said,
because she provided us with a.
we got some, no, this is.
Thank you.
This is a discussion that we had already on the board a year ago.
Thank you.
And the president of Moose Run brought it to my attention. Barry Fish.
There he is.
There he is.
Barry's here.
Barry brought this to my attention, so, and then we got information, I talked with Tara about it, and we got information to Mark for DPW's role on this. And it pertains back to, when was this? April of last year. We had some conditions in regards to Golden Heights, snow plowing, removal and all that. I think we need to. Would you take a minute, Pauline, and just. Number 5. Sure. So I'm gonna just read this a little bit so we can kind of get caught up on what we talked about.
So the condition subsequent, number 5, staff would like to have a condition of approval that the snow storage arrangement be subject to review in April 2024 and April 2025, modified if there are issues with ice buildup or runoff outside the ditch. The review should be conducted at a minimum by the Department of Public Works / road agent and the developer. Other staff can be involved if necessary. The Department of Public Works will provide the planning board with a written report on how the arrangement worked and if any modifications are necessary. The report should be presented to the planning board at the May 2024 and May 2025 meetings. The building footprint and associated improvements as necessary may vary up to 10% without a planning board approval.
And we all have a handout. We had a copy handed out to us. Barry, I'm gonna give you mine.
With pictures.
I know.
This handout is actually Department of Public Works report, yes?
Right,
Yes,
you got
it
this as an
That
email.
is the DPW's
This is
report.
their,
Signed by Megan.
We got this as an email, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So in summary, it was a very mild winter with very little snowfall. And if you recall, the select board has approved the fact that there will be no dumpster at the site. So the developer was able to utilize the area where the dumpster was going to be located for snow storage when they were plowing. And all of the units are not complete. So the bottom line is we did not have a very representative year in any part of it. So Megan explains that in detail in the handout that you're looking at, but you know, we want to take that second look that you approved as a condition in April next year and do another assessment, but there just wasn't, it wasn't very representative. So there were no problems, but we don't know if that's going to continue to be the case.
right. We have a lot more snow.
If there's a lot more snow, if some of the property owners in the development want the dumpster located there. So the association may be coming back with a revised plan for the dumpster location for the select board to look at and potentially change their latest decision, but we don't have anything from them yet. So, anyway, if you have questions, I can answer them or get you an answer from Megan.
And just so everybody knows, Barry Fish is the president, Barry, of the Moose Run area? Okay, so just wanted everyone to know that. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Barry?
Well, officially, I'm still the president of the association, and the condos are still part of the Moose Run Association. However, we are in the middle of a vote to allow the condo association to move out of the Moose Run Association so that they're no longer part of Moose Run.
I
And
see.
there's benefits to both organizations, our organization and them. We're not at odds, which is, you know,
Okay.
there's benefit to them and there's a benefit to us, and they're gonna kind of separate and do their own thing, and we're gonna separate and do our own thing.
Yeah.
But I guess as a official or unofficial, I just don't think, and this could be due because the site's not finished yet, if that's the case, but it just doesn't look the way that I had envisioned the landscaping to look. I mean, it's just, there's rocks and stuff all over the place, the road is, the trail is deteriorating, you can see there's, you know, it's deteriorating, I'm not sure. I envisioned a lot bigger plants that they were gonna put in to separate, I remember this was a big topic of discussion, to separate where the cars are parked parallel. Of course, this year again wasn't a good year, as Mark said, because there wasn't very many people there, but they are parking, but I just don't see that separation there.
John, this is really not an appropriate topic to be discussing. The only item the board can discuss is hearing the snow removal report from Mark and Megan. You can't discuss the, previous conditions on a plan with the public.
Yeah, Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, but Barry, come to the select board meeting as the enforcement agent
Right.
that were made. And, whatever you would like to say, I would say it to the select board, not to the planning. board.
Okay,
Okay,
sure,
we have a meeting next Wednesday.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that just clarifies that up, but we're just responsible. I hear you, Tara, what you want to say.
So Mark, I just had one question on, you guys are following up with the developer about what Megan referred to improper disposal of snow into the dumpster enclosure area. That's a conversation you guys are continuing.
Yes, and that will, yes, we are. We've been talking to them about it. We pointed out to them that it was a very low snow year and they had a very large pile of snow in the former dumpster enclosure area. So, if they're going to really clear out that parking lot with the units actually being used, we do see them going across the street, like they got permission to do snow storage on the other side of Bowling Heights Road. But again, we couldn't assess that this year because they weren't doing.
And they should have been?
Well, no, they didn't need to because they didn't have a dumpster on site
Right.
and most of the units are not occupied.
Okay.
The question I have is, to remove the snow from Golden Heights to the other side of the road, they have to lift it up
They
and then move it over.
Yeah, they'll have to do it with a front end loader.
If there's a
They
lot more.
can't plow across.
Is that
And they know that.
Yeah.
We've talked to them about
Is it illegal to plow across the road or is
it.
it
It
just,
is illegal. to
okay.
plow
Yeah.
across.
it wasn't just a thing?
No,
Okay.
On any road in town.
any road in town, any
Yeah.
town maintained road in
Yep.
town. Yep.
Yes,
I have a question. It's a procedural question. As one of the conditions, the one we're discussing now, the condition subsequent. We gave ourselves, that is the planning board, 2 review years. Sounds to me like what we're saying is that this past year was not a good year to review, to make any judgments. However, I suspect, Tara, that doesn't mean that we can add on a second year. We're gonna have to live with whatever we decide by May of 2025, since there were 2 years that were conditioned.
That'd be
You,
correct.
you do need to decide in May 2025. The reason that you made it be 2 years was in case we had a light snow winter the first year.
So what is, I guess I'm unclear on what the decision we need to make is based on this evidence.
I don't think you have a decision to make today. You were to hear the staff's recommendations, and the staff's recommendation is to give them another year to keep working with the developer, and they'll check in again next spring.
All right, I understand.
yeah, my intent was just to make you all aware of it, so don't throw these away.
Okay,
That's,
We have copies.
Yeah,
I think it's an email.
Yeah,
just
but
put it on your calendar for next year, 2025. Rich Smith?
just quick question on snow storage. So if the original plan wasn't to put the snow where it was because there was a dumpster there, because they're gonna start piling snow there without the dump, they'll take advantage of that. Is there a consideration around the drainage related to that snow storage?
Go right down the
So,
hill.
Where,
like,
yeah,
where I'm
but
going with it?
it's up, they do the maintenance. The town does not do the maintenance of that road. So if the snow melts where it is at the dumpster location.
Yeah.
And it comes down the road and ices up or whatever, that's the association's issue. That's their.
What if
parking.
but what if the melt goes, I mean, cause they're kind of up on a hill and I have not up there, so I haven't seen it. But what if the melt goes down the hill, down towards the culvert?
Well, we will.
Is that an issue?
They can't infringe on the drainage of the road. So if they influence the road, then we'll talk to them about that. They will have to control the runoff. So that it goes into the drainage ditch and not out onto the road. But we'll do that with staff.
But that's not a snow removal issue.
That's not a snow removal.
That was the
That's right,
approved plan.
right.
Well, no. I thought the approved plan was mostly to go the other way across the road. Cause that would.
I'm talking about drainage, not snow.
Right, but when we approved the plan, right? There was not going to be snow plowed there, all of it was going to go across. the street.
I'm talking about drainage,
Right,
the drainage approval.
Quite
Well,
frankly,
you approved it, and you left the door open to tweak
Mhm.
drainage relative to the snow removal based on the staff report.
Okay,
Okay.
And actually, it's okay the way it is right now. We don't like, from a staff perspective, we don't like that they will be transporting the snow over, because that's a major drainage ditch along Golden Heights Road.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll allow it as long as it doesn't cause any problems, but it's actually okay the way it is right now. It is not causing any problems on Golden Heights.
And Barry, I just want to be clear,
Okay.
that you're clear. The other items you will bring to the select board,
Yep,
okay?
that's fine.
So you're okay with it?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you're good. Thank you for coming and
Okay.
letting us know.
Sure.
about that.
thank you, Bill. Yeah, but Dave.
Okay, we'll go back to the presentation assessment, for the master plan. Harry, I'm gonna ask you to speak about this, the HOP.
Sure. I think it's important to get what Mark just said in the minutes, because I'm not sure it's clear in Megan's report that the approach they're taking now is actually preferable to carrying it across the road, as long as the drainage and everything works out okay, right? That's what I heard you say, Mark, and I'm not sure that was clear, and someone could just look at Megan's report and say, well, they're not following the plan.
I mean, that's how I took it for sure, so.
Yes,
I think
and,
it's-
and that is,
Mm.
I mean, we're fine with it the way it is right now. It is not causing any problems on Golden Heights Road.
And it's preferred.
And it's preferred because that drainage ditch across the street doesn't just handle the
Right.
water on Golden Heights Road. It takes all the water from up the hill down through. Okay, so that is a big piece of drainage for us.
I just thought that's an important point to get in a minute, so it,
Yep.
in the future, it doesn't look like they're doing something bad, that's a, right, that's a violation of the plan.
Or they come in front of the select board and
Right.
ask to put the dumpster.
Yeah, thank you, Tara.
Yeah, they're gonna have to talk about.
Right.
So, this is the final piece of the Housing Opportunity Program grant was, to take a look at the master plan relative to the potential resort workforce housing that we've kind of talked about on the periphery. The 2018 Farm Bill expanded the opportunities for the Forest Service to lease national forest lands and added housing as a potential use. And that's a new thing, and it spurred conversations between the White Mountain National Forest folks and the Waterville Valley Resort about, gee, could we take advantage of this change in the Farm Bill and look at a site, expand the lease area to include some housing that might serve the needs of both the resort and the Forest Service, who were both having trouble filling jobs because of the lack of housing affordable to their workforce. So the resort commissioned a study with Michael Lynn from the Developers Collaborative to look at the housing needs and look at the opportunity to provide those needs in what we call the village area of Waterville Valley. That's the core of privately owned land. They estimated there's only about 10 acres of undeveloped land remaining for development in the village area, and focused on the area that this board has been shown a concept plan for, that's east of Tripoli Road across the Mad River from the municipal complex. The kind of highlight conclusions of that market study was that they felt there was sufficient unmet need to support 60 units of workforce housing in this development, that for workers with annual incomes between 30 and 60,000 a year. They recommended a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units for singles, for shared 2 units for families, and based on the wages, the target for gross rents would be in the range of $1,550 to $2,600 a month. The timing of that was kind of being done as we were wrapping up the master plan and doing the action plan. So we wanted to say something in the master plan that would keep the door open for that kind of development. But we weren't very specific because we didn't have a proposal in front of us yet, or this fair market study hadn't been done.
No problem.
And so if you look at the bottom of page 4 on the memo I sent out on this, you'll see we included just some kind of vague statements about it. We said in chapter 4, recreation, it will be important for both the town and White Mountain National Forest to continue to work cooperatively with the Waterville Valley Resort to ensure the continued success. We said in the action plan, we should stay abreast of future development plans of large landowners, including that planned for the White Mountain National Forest lease area. And that's broad enough to include the expanded ski area and snowmaking pond and the housing. The only thing kind of specific the most specific thing we said was support creative solutions proposed by local business to the workforce housing shortage when consistent with the vision and goals of the community. So there's some stuff in there that supports it, but it's not very specific. So my task with the HOP grant was, what could we do better? And I had some recommendations on the top of page 5. We could amend the master plan to kind of harvest a summary of this possible housing to put into the land use section. And we could add a couple more specific action plans, one to articulate the town supports the workforce housing on the forest land, and also to recommend integrating the associated wastewater needs into the town's wastewater infrastructure planning. And I would like to hear Mark's thoughts on that, but the reason I included that is we also used part of the HOP grant to apply for grant funds to help the town look at the feasibility of how the wastewater from such a development would be addressed. So it's kind of backfilling for something a path we already started down, really. So so the board, if you gave me direction, if you were able to give me direction today, I can draft this language still on the grant. If you want to think about it a while and revisit it, I'm not going away for a while, but the grant is. So
All right, one moment, Mark has a
So,
question.
yeah, so, I would urge you to allow her to do it under the HOP grant.
Mhm.
Because the town is also part of that discussion with the resort and the White Mountain National Forest about the Farm Bill provisions.
Mhm.
And, we've been talking to them about that conceptual development by the snowmaking pond across the river. And from the town staff standpoint, we have the same problem that the White Mountain National Forest and the resort are having with getting workforce folks in here living closer to town. It would be beneficial for the town as well. So we'd like to see that move forward. And also, this is only being done in one other place in the country right now under these provisions of the Farm Bill. And the Forest Service has the municipality, it's out in Colorado. The Forest Service has the municipality as the lead, not the resort. Okay, and that's just from their legal and technical standpoint. So they would want us as a town to be involved if they move forward. So I'd really, it would be beneficial for us if Tara did this work. And if we had it in our master plan, that this is something as a community that we want to do. Because it keeps workforce housing from being right in the middle of town where hopefully we'll have commercial development. And gives us an access to a piece of land that I don't see any other way that we're ever gonna have access to for this use. So I think it's a good idea, and I'd urge you to put it in the master plan. So we can.
You all set, Mark?
Okay, do you mean?
So just the rules, when something new comes along in the law, there has to be a bureaucracy around it. And it took quite a while for them to develop rules for how these administrative lands would be leased and how the decision would be made. And the town has a role in that, as Mark said. They'll look to the town to see if the town supports it. The town is given rights of first refusal on the lease, in fact.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, accept. Mike Capel, Jim.
I think it is important that we put it in there, however. My reading of the law of the 2018 Farm Bill is that it has expired. It was a 5-year plan. There is a 2000 and I think it's actually called 2024 Farm Bill. And there are draft provisions, which because I've read, and they are very conflicting between the House and the Senate. And we don't know what will, obviously, you never know what it will or will not be in there. And I think that it is important that we recognize that whether or not the provisions that would allow that development from the 2018 bill, there is no guarantee when and if another farm bill is passed, that those provisions be in there. And I think that what's important, am I stating that properly, Mark?
Yes, the
It is important that we understand. All I'm saying is, it's important that we understand that. I tend to read these things. So I don't know what's I don't think anybody, unless Tara or Mark have more recent knowledge than I do.
The forest.
No, it's on our continuing resolution but I haven't seen or heard any discussion about taking this out of it. And especially, I mean, with the business community is becoming more and more aware of the need for housing.
So Department of Agriculture and the Forest Service are urging Congress to continue these provisions because there are several projects throughout the country that are, going through the motions, and they want to keep these provisions in, and they're moving forward as if they are going to stay. Farm Bill, like Tara said, is under
CR.
Continuing resolution, and so we're still, working on it. And I think it is important that we have these provisions in.
I'm not saying not to put it in. I think it is important that we put it in. We just have to understand that.
Yeah.
You never know what Congress is going to do, and regardless of whatever anybody else says, what will or will not finally be in there. We hope that it will, all right? But
So let's put it in the master
Let's
plan.
put it in the-
Put it
If we
in the
agree, if the
master
board
plan.
agrees to that.
It doesn't hurt to put it in.
Well, what
We just
it
have
is.
to
You need
understand
a motion.
the
Well, we
law.
need a motion on whatever it is. I think
Yes.
Tara was going through the various.
Well, I
Possibilities.
move to have Tara draft, a language to put in our master plan in support of, workforce housing, in the National Forest Service.
Second.
Well,
Okay.
Well, you then.
We-
this is
we-
just a point,
Discussion.
time for discussion.
Uh-huh.
So I had sort of made a point of this, and I sort of follow what Mark had said, as long as whatever we put in the master plan references more than just the resort or the national forest people with regard to, who can potentially
You would mention
reside in
towns.
this. Yeah, I think I want to make sure that if this is going to impact the town the way it will with wastewater and traffic and
Public safety.
everything,
Right.
that we make sure that language is included.
Yeah, and Tara did say, and I'm sorry, Rick, our wastewater treatment plant will be built with this potential taken into account. So, the exact way that it connects to the new plant and all of that would have to be designed later. But the capacity for 60 additional units will be in our flow calculation. So it's not a significant increase in the design capacity of the plant. So that is part of what we're doing.
Good.
Quick
Kathy.
question too. So should Tara write up a verbiage, then that would be then emailed to us to discuss then at our next meeting, just so that's just before we incorporate it into a master plan? Okay, so.
June is when the HOP grant expires, correct? The end of June or the beginning of June?
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
okay,
Yeah.
so then that gives us next.
So that's, yeah,
excellent.
Right, and you can continue discussing it for months and have a public hearing in the future. Just, this is your chance to have me get you started with it for free.
Okay,
any further discussion, Rick?
just one other thing, so the bit about the $30,000 to $60,000 income with the rent amounts. Is that's probably not something that goes into the master plans specifically, right? What I wanna, I guess what I wanna make sure is that this doesn't turn into rental property for, you know, weekenders and whatever else. The 60 units should be ideally workforce housing and stay workforce housing for the duration. Not, you know, hey, what I'm concerned about is we don't have enough people living here because they can't get to the grocery store without driving, so they want to live down in Campton or whatever else. Because it's still cheaper down there than it would be for $1,500 here. And as a result, we're gonna turn this into rental property or not low income
Yeah.
stuff. And whether or not, I don't believe that that's necessarily something that would go into the master plan. But it is something that I would like to see maintained for this development.
If I remember correctly, when we originally discussed this, it was the US Forest Service owns it and then it is sublet to the,
The
like,
developer.
certain,
The
yeah,
town.
certain portion goes to each place.
Yeah, I think the language. Probably not as specific as what you just said, but make it plain that what. The board is supporting is workforce housing. And then when the actual plans are developed, the town gets a say on whether we consider that. Workforce housing or whether it's gonna turn into a rental for weekend, you know, folks and it defeats the purpose.
Right, and theoretically, we have enough planned other development that satisfies that other stuff I'm talking about. We need workforce housing.
Right,
This is-
that's what we want to support in the
Right.
master plan with this, using the monies from this grant. Is workforce housing in town.
There's a question on Zoom, where is this proposed housing to be located from Henry?
So I can take that one if you want. So we're sitting by the transfer station. If you go up the access road towards the ski mountain, on the right-hand side, after you go across the Mad River, it's in that, there's a parcel, or it's not really a parcel, it's a bunch of land in there that currently has the outer Mad River cross-country ski trail.
So it's on this side?
It's on this side of the river.
And all of that may move, you know, where that conceptually. That spot is what they're looking at, because it's a nice flat area and it's close to trails that connect it to town and all of that, but the exact site and what that would look like is still way up in the air, and that's way down the road.
And again, the town would have the
And the town
say on,
participates in that.
in terms of. Yeah, mitigation, loss of trail, what have you.
So, yeah, yes and no. I mean, the town isn't given, my understanding of the rules, the town isn't given authority over it, but the Forest Service considers the town's concerns and needs.
Forest Service designates where it can. Forest Service designates where it can be, and then the developer, be it town, resort. Or a combination thereof, decides whether or not they will accept that and move forward.
All I'm
as a
saying is that
developer.
we want to make it clear what we're supporting. And have that record
Right,
in there, and that we expect as a town to have
right, not
a say,
location, not.
not a veto
prices.
power, but a say, and it should be a very important say. In what is actually built and how it's built and where it's built and all that. We can't control any of that at this point.
Just that we're in favor of the generality
Of workforce
of workforce.
housing in town.
That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
And are we saying workforce housing or low income housing? Which are we saying?
Workforce.
Workforce.
So we have
There's
specific.
difference.
No, I know there's I'm very aware. So we are being very specific in saying this is only for workforce housing.
That we're supporting.
That we're supporting.
That's how
that's how.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We
I-
support, we
that's
want to
fine.
strengthen
I agree.
that in our master
I
plan.
think that's all that's allowed under their rules.
My understanding is, as I read the farm bill. It is very specific that it is not low-income housing. It is specifically designed for workforce of the area, not necessarily our town, but the area. Is that correct?
Yeah, because if the Forest Service has a piece, they'll want their people.
No. The Forest Services, it would be part of the Waterville Valley town. But it is not just our town, it is the area, as I understand. The
Yes, I
farm.
was agreeing with you.
What?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, but the
But
mountain
you're
is part of our
supporting,
thing.
right? So can we vote?
So we have a motion on the floor.
Are we done with
We
the
have a
discussion?
second.
Sorry.
And
No, that's
we
what we're
made-
here for.
Rich, excuse me.
Sorry.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. We've had discussion. Any more discussion? Okay, we've finished discussion. Let's vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it will pass through. Tara, you're good to go.
Good.
Thank you. Next one is the master plan action plan. Ooh,
I have a question on the master.
go ahead, Mike.
As I'm sure we all know, we no longer have a skateboard park in Waterville Valley. Whether you think that's good, bad, or indifferent. My understanding is that currently there is no plan either by the resort, Terrell, or the town to build a new skateboard park. So what I think we should do is at least, we have a picture in there of the skateboard park and about a skateboard camps and things like that. I think that has to be removed.
Boy, I'm gonna hop in and recommend that you don't get involved in updating the master plan every time a factual thing changes. You need to, as I've recommended in the past, you should be looking at the action plan and deciding what you're gonna make happen. My proposal is gonna be to write this amendment as an addendum, not have the town spend a ton of money reformatting that document.
I don't know how to do it. I'm just saying.
Well, I think
Why
you would
didn't you put it on a list for 10 years from now when you look at the plan again?
I think where you would have an impact potentially is the action plan. If the action plan says something about a skateboard park, that's where you would make the decision that we're not going forward with this thing. But I don't think it does. Otherwise,
I don't think it does either.
There's recreational facilities
Facilities.
and all of that, so yes,
Right.
I think it falls under one of
Right.
the action plan. But I just wanted to comment that the select board and department heads will be looking at the action plan that we're responsible for during their strategic planning meeting. And that'll be one of the things we'll be going down through some items, and the board will be deciding what we're gonna focus on for the rest of this year, going into town meeting next year.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and I agree with Tara. You can't just add or subtract from the master plan anytime you want.
But that's all we would ever do.
Yeah.
Frankly, yeah, exactly. That's a good way to waste time and not actually implement the plan.
Yeah.
No,
Do we need any
looks
further
like
discussion on
something's
that,
there,
Tara?
you had the master plan, action plan, with the item we're discussing.
Yeah.
I thought you left that on there to make sure you don't forget to go through the action plan at a future meeting and decide what your priorities are next.
I believe that's what we did, yeah. I almost forgot that one, but you and I went over that, but yes. But do we need any further discussion on that now?
Well,
I think you probably could, do you want to consider scheduling a meeting that's to do that?
yes,
We probably should. So we're all clear on.
Not gonna be our June meeting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Meeting
Or our May meeting. Well, it may be our June meeting.
No, well, your June meeting, you've got the assessor coming in.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, there's
I
a
was
lot
thinking of the
happening.
other issue.
And the other.
But the
issue.
other issue could be wrapped up in the 30 May ish meeting,
Yeah.
so. But I don't know, we're coming up half a year.
Yeah, we're running out of time,
So we should lay on, I think I agree with Tara, let's lay on a meeting just to talk about the action plan or the master plan.
Do we want to do that in this month or July?
No,
Sooner
not
rather
July,
than later.
sooner rather than later, so
Yeah.
give us some time to
'Cause we got a lot of-
fulfill our
We've
obligations.
got a lot of meetings coming up, so. Anything in May that we all want to agree on, or June?
Again, there was the May 23rd day, which is a Thursday, but it's going into the holiday, but that's open if we want to meet and discuss then.
Yeah, the 23rd was,
It's next
there was
Thursday.
nothing else going on.
No, it's 2 weeks.
2 weeks Thursday, yeah,
Yeah.
that is with the 10-day period, yeah. 2 weeks.
Can we, is everyone,
Or sooner.
I can't-
I just don't.
Yeah, I can't do that day, but I'm
Um,
just one person on the board.
What
Of
about?
course.
I'd like to see a big,
Right now, so currently we have the 30th
Mhm.
is going to be our public hearing on site and then deliberation back here.
Potentially.
Mhm.
We
Okay.
could,
Yeah.
we could decide to not have a vote until the 30th on that,
Okay,
but yes,
well, I'm saying the 30th, that's. the-
because there's that 65-day clock thing we have to look
but
at.
it is a public meeting on the 30th,
Public hearing,
public hearing. I'm
public
sorry,
hearing, yeah.
on
So, yeah, we
site,
don't, yeah, so we,
On site.
Well, we're gonna do the walkthrough at the site. We're not gonna, we needed to actually confirm that. My suggestion is no public comment at the site. We walk through it and then we come back here and have the public hearing and then everybody can share their
that's,
comments.
that's the way it should be.
Why don't we do it? Instead of everybody coming back here where there's limited parking and everything else, and limited seating. Perhaps Craig would let us do it at the clubhouse, which is.
Then you've
No,
got
we
to
gotta, we gotta record it and everything.
Oh, that's true, because you'd have
Yeah,
to
we
take
have
all
to
this
come back
back
Be
here.
official, yeah, so
Yeah.
back here.
Well, we can determine how we want to run that when that time comes,
Right,
but I agree with you.
but right now we're looking for the action plan meeting day.
About next week. Does it?
Well, what?
I mean, it doesn't
what
have to
about-
be on a
let's-
Thursday
let's,
either.
Yeah,
Tuesday or Wednesday of next week? The 14th or 15th? How's that looking for people?
No, Wednesdays are always bad.
Wednesdays are bad.
14th is fine for me.
can I ask Tara, I presume we want her to participate in this?
Of course, yeah.
Tara, are there days that are bad for you? Or say over the next few weeks?
The 23rd would be good if you want to stay with Thursdays. The week of the 13th is pretty full for me right now, and the 20th and 21st. 22nd, 23rd are good.
22nd is,
It's a
That's,
Wednesday.
that's our select board strategic meeting that day.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
would it be
we-
better to have it before the select board meeting?
It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning.
No, I mean, to
Oh,
us
this-
have the meeting.
It could be, but she said she can't come 13th, it's tough.
the 21st,
20 and 21st, she's already tied up.
Why don't we just do it the 23rd? I apologize to Rich that he can't.
No,
be
no,
here.
I mean, I just throw it
But-
out there. I mean, I would try to make it, but I don't think I can.
It'd be important for your alternate.
Margaret, I'll talk to Margaret.
She disappeared for a second.
I thought we heard earlier in the meeting, Margaret's not the select board's alternate.
No, she's not.
It,
Not
what
if-
I'm saying is it would be important for the select board's alternate,
yeah,
Oh.
Rich, you're important.
so that the select board's part of the conversation.
I see. All right, I got the bureaucratic procedure, yeah. Got it. No, you're correct. Thank you, Tara.
Well, it's
You're
very helpful input to the planning board of what's realistic to attack.
Would the 24th work for everybody? It's a Friday. No,
I could do the 23rd.
so wait a minute, Rich, is the 23rd completely out the whole day?
Well, I have to take Helen to the airport.
Lucky you.
Lucky me, yeah. Woo-hoo.
So could we do the meeting later in the morning?
I could probably, I can sneak an hour in the morning, like at 8.
You need to leave by 9, you gotta be out.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm taking her to the airport earlier, but I could be back by then, but then I've got another appointment
Oh,
after that.
So it's not a good day.
It's just not a good day, yeah. Actually, I got 2 other appointments on, so none of that.
Mark,
Yeah,
Friday?
We have a big transition of our financial management package, so,
It's the last 2 weeks of May.
yeah.
oh,
So
wow,
Maybe May's
and
bad.
we may have training currently scheduled.
Yeah.
We can find an alternative place, but
How about the sixth?
the 6th of June would be better from our standpoint.
I mean,
June
Open,
Yeah.
6th,
June 6th, Tara? is what we tell you?
Yeah, good.
it's a Thursday, 8, is 8 in the morning okay with everyone?
No, but that's when we'll meet.
Wanna go 8:30 or?
What we're talking about is a special meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, we could go later.
do
if it's
what?
not- Right,
do the master
The
plan.
the
master
action plan, to
action
review the action plan as to what our, alright,
What we're trying to accomplish
Planning
with
board.
respect to the.
Like,
what have we accomplished?
yeah, like, but are we gonna go through the dark sky initiative? Like, where, like, what are our goals for, as a group this year? That was my
Wherever
understanding.
planning board is mentioned in the action plan,
Yeah.
where are we on those? On those action items?
Okay.
Yeah, are we taking action on them or?
Well, then, no offense to Rich, but a lot of those don't really affect the select board as much, or Margaret, or maybe Wendy can sit in whomever the select board designates
Yeah,
to fit
I can
in.
make the 6th though.
But, yeah, you should really be here, cause you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
That's,
Wendy is,
but June
done with
6th,
planning.
I don't blame her.
Alright,
So-
so the 6th,
June 6th,
We don't have to meet at 8, it could be a little later, I mean, we're having our strategic meeting at 9, right? Yeah,
that's, yeah, seems to work for town employees too. They can
It
start
gives them
their
a chance
day and then
to-
come
so if we
down.
do 9, we just do an hour.
well,
Oh, see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, right.
I block off a couple hours, just say 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is everyone gonna do 9 to 11, 8:30 to 11?
sounds great.
I don't put it in, I never put it in.
Either fine for me, but are we doing 9 or 8? What's the?
Oh, 9 to 11,
9.
9 to 11,
11.
6,
166, got it.
Okay, and this is a master plan, action plan meeting.
review,
Review.
what have we
Right.
done or not?
That work for you, Tara?
Good.
Beautiful.
Planning board.
So we now have planning board meetings of various types
Mhm.
on the 30th, the 6th, and the 13th.
Correct.
Correct,
Yeah,
I'm busy.
that time of year?
Is it time of year matter?
Yeah, for applications, people want to get things
Yeah.
done in the summer, yeah.
Make
We all
people
good?
sunshine.
are we all good with that master plan, action plan time and everything?
Yes, sir.
We can move on? You good, Tara, to move on?
Yep.
Okay. Planning board procedures, we're all seem to be doing okay, but I have to bring this out. Cause there was something I saw today that wasn't good. When you spoke to the chair while the meeting was going on, very bad.
You don't know what I said.
That's what's going on. People don't know what you said
Okay.
either. So that's why we gotta stick with
Okay.
these procedures. You can't do that.
Okay,
We don't, I know you probably said, what are you having for dinner tonight, but
Precisely.
it doesn't matter because the
okay,
public doesn't know and the camera doesn't know, so. In the future, we just can't do that, okay, everyone?
Sweet nothing.
And that's all we're gonna do. We're not gonna chase that down. Correspondence? Hello, good, welcome back.
I don't have anything.
Okay, that's fine.
Excellent report.
Town core,
We haven't met, so nothing there.
wow.
Another good report.
Conservation Commission, so I have a little bit to report, so it's still going forward, Rick Vanderpool, the grants and everything are going fine. But the Forest Service has this new form that they came up with all of a sudden. and it might be holding some things up. Do you know anything about
I
that?
think we're doing okay. He's talking about the remediation project on Snows Brook, which is critical before we do any planning for the dredging of the pond. The Forest Service, we had a meeting, Conservation Commission Chair, myself had a meeting with Forest Service staff a couple of weeks ago. They're very supportive of the remediation project. We do have to fill out some forms that we weren't aware of before, but that will be happening in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. Like I said, the Forest Service staff that are responsible for approving the plan said that they don't see any issues as long as we get the paperwork set up and through the process. So we are moving forward with the project. It will not be done this summer. It will have to wait until next construction season. But it is in process. Rick Vanderpool is looking at additional grant funding. And hopefully we can leverage some additional federal or state monies to help us with the project. But it is moving along.
It sounds like we're not gonna get away from dredging it one more time though, right?
Well, we
The
will
dredging is happening.
the dredging will happen at some point, but we don't even want to do much planning until we know that the remediation project is going to happen, because
Yeah,
we would just be wasting money at that point.
yeah.
So.
And it's
we
not
will-
going to mean, we'll not have to dredge in the future.
Right.
It'll just lengthen
Lengthen it, right,
lengthen the time period
Hopefully, periods.
right,
so,
right.
well, we gotta.
Say that again, please.
The remediation project is not going to eliminate the need to dredge Corcoran Pond on a regular basis. It'll just extend the time period between the dredging that we need to do.
Interesting.
If we can take a 15-year period and make it 25 years or whatever,
Yeah,
that is the
That'd be
goal,
great.
is to reduce the sedimentation.
Okay. I understand.
We will not eliminate.
A $2 to $4 million job, it appears.
Well. who
We'll see.
knows? Yeah,
Who knows, but we're not talking.
so the last time was 600,000, that was a bargain?
Yes, it was. I should get a commission.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're talking about
It's
doing
such a
that,
fascinating project.
We
How many years?
will not, we will probably not be doing that in 2025. It'll probably be a 2026 project. Because there's a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of coordination that needs to be done. But anyway, that's a CFO.
okay,
talk.
That's all in the commission
Yeah.
we have on that. So adjourn, does anybody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn this meeting.
You know, a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Thank you.
When they dredge
Thank
the
you,
pond, do they
Tara.
also like sift through it to see like what's in
Thank you,
there?
Dave.
Like how
Bodies
many,
and stuff.
how many rings, how many
No.
bones?
I think they just,
Is there a bicycle
I think they just,
We're